useful and it's science-based and it's so accessible. Right? To start seeing the difference. And so I love hearing your talk. Can't wait to hear your talk today. Everyone to the stage. Coach E.
The benefit of long legs. I don't need the steps. So today, y'all, I'm going to talk about something. I don't see my buddy Maria. I'm going to get her. She's not in here. But she's one of the individuals that's been in my group for 2 years. And she's always said, man, you got to talk more about the emotions of this. And I always avoided it. So last year I was hype. I was walking back and forth, and I was like a coach on the sideline. So I'm gonna be a little bit calmer this year because we're gonna dig down deep. We're gonna get serious today. We're gonna get real serious. So usually people will say, hey, make sure you put your phones away and turn them off. Have your phone at the ready because you're going to need it. And if you're videoing, you're probably going to want to cut it off because you're going to want to participate in what we're going to do. So I'm going to ask y'all to participate today. I got video if you need it. All right. I'll give it to anybody who wants it. So we're talking about emotional eating. This is a big part of why we decided to start the ketogenic lifestyle. I do this for me. This really isn't for you, so that I don't forget to tell you the good stuff, right? So what is emotional eating? Y'all, it's based off an emotion and not hunger. I think that's the basis of it, right? It sounds really simple, but that's basically what it is. We're eating because of an emotion and not because we're hungry. It's a vicious cycle. I'm stressed, so I eat. Because I ate, I'm stressed. And then it just continues to go round and round and round and round and round. You're upset with yourself because you ate something you weren't supposed to eat or you didn't want to eat. And then the next thing you know, you're doing it again. It's the emotion. The emotion is driving you. So British Medical Journal, they studied 220,000 people. And basically, they came to the conclusion that most people will lose weight, and in 1 year they will gain it back. Now we're gonna solve this problem at the end. So we're gonna solve this problem at the end. So I'm not sharing the statistic to discourage anyone, but I'm gonna tell you what I've been able to do in my life, individuals, to help this statistic be wrong. Harvard, they got a hold of it, and they said that most people fail because of the emotional eating. This is the reason why most people don't last a year, or after 1 year, they have gained back the weight that they have lost because of the emotions involved. So I'm here to tell y'all today, you're not alone because everyone emotionally eats. Everyone emotionally eats. You emotionally eat when it's positive. And I only have 2 things up here. Y'all can probably tell me some things too. Celebrations. It's my birthday. What we do on birthdays? We eat what? Cake. Everybody knows, right? We eat cake on birthdays, and it's just kind of ingrained in us. It's a part of our emotion. How many people think that their culture or nationality is the reason why they eat poorly? How many times in my right here, you know how us black folk eat? Everyone's community is the same. Everyone's community is the same. We all enjoy family. We all enjoy food. And when family gets together, what do? We eat. We eat food. So there's also some positive emotions associated with emotionally. So did I tell y'all to have y'all phones ready, right? So here goes signs of emotional eating. Eating when you're already full. I think about Thanksgiving. And I another plate because it was just, is any of that left? I wasn't really hungry, but I just needed to get some more because I didn't, we didn't have that all the time. Starving yourself. How many times have you ate something that you necessarily didn't feel like was going to be good for you to eat, and then the next day you're like, I'm just going to fast? That's not why we did it. That's not why intermittent fasting is here, y'all. We're not using it as punishment. So starving yourself. You have a bad dietary day, and then the next thing you know, you're just eating. You're not trying to eat anything at all. So you go from one extreme to the next, and then you're guilty. Then you have the guilt, and you're beating yourself up. So one rule I have with my group is, if you decide to have a choice day, because we don't call them cheat days, if you decide to have a choice day, you just can't beat yourself up. So these are signs of the emotional eating. Y'all like how my AL went to the other. I told y'all this was for me, not for you. So physical hunger versus emotional hunger. So physical hunger, it builds up and it can be postponed over time. Guess how much food I ate today? None. And that's not to say that that's impressive or anything like that, but I physically was not hungry today. I've been moving, I've been preparing, I've been enjoying the speakers. I didn't go force myself to eat because physical hunger can be postponed. But you know what I'm gonna do when I finish speaking? I'm gonna go eat because I can postpone that feeling. But guess what? Emotional hunger, now that's something. The emotional hunger keep knocking at your door. And it's really hard to postpone it. It's really hard to put it away. So usually associated with a sudden hunger, like, man, all of a sudden I think, man, I want a little something, that little cake they got in there, or that little pie they have in there. And it's associated with cravings. All right, so let's get these phones ready. So let me help you unpack why you are emotionally eating a particular food item. Now, I need y'all to participate now. I have my mentor in the back, Dr. Ken Berry. He didn't know he was my mentor, but I told him this morning he was my mentor. he's been my digital mentor for the last 5 years. And I got to meet him today. So y'all make sure y'all make me look good in front of Dr. Ken Berry, okay? My mentor is in the back. So I need everyone to get your phone out, turn your camera on. Take a picture of me. No, scan this code. So you scan this code, and it's going to take you to a Desmos. Oh, I need to get my tablet. Thank you, sir. No cheating. All right, so I am a teacher by trade. For those who didn't know, I'm a biology teacher by trade. So you're in my classroom right now. So go ahead and pull up the Desmos. I'm putting on pacing. Oh, okay, all right. I did account for reception. So you can still participate even if you can't get on the Desmos, but the Desmos is gonna make you want to participate. So we're gonna unpack why you're emotionally eating specific food items. So we're gonna unpack that right here, right now. Are we ready? I heard a no. We want everybody to be ready. So let me know when you're ready. Yeah, feel free to come up there, y'all. I'm one of those. I'm one of those teachers that like noise in my classroom. If it gets too quiet, I get bored. Yeah, they plotting on me. Y'all plotting on me if it gets too quiet. All right. So you should see in the Desmos what's your name. You can put John Doe if you want. I'm not gonna look at it to see, what your favorite food item is or anything like that. So you can put John Doe, Jane Doe if you want, nickname in there. So you should be typing your name in there. And I'm a believer in being in the moment. So I like the fact that you can't really video, you gotta participate. I always wonder how people go to a concert. How are you enjoying the concert if everybody's just videoing it? You gonna watch it later? Enjoy the moment. So I want us to enjoy the moment, to be in the moment. So number one, what is your name? So I want to make sure everyone gets that in there. And I know this isn't really necessarily made for phones. It's kind of made for laptops more than anything. So that was the easy question. Put my face in here again. It's me. This thing keeps going to sleep. Of course, when I'm ready to move on, it wants to be slow. Oh, yeah, it's really acting up now. There we go. All right, so next question, number two. I meant to put them here too. So what is your name? So number two, what is your favorite non-keto food item? What is your favorite non-keto food item? I told you we're gonna unpack, y'all. What is that thing that you're like, I know I ain't supposed to eat it. What is that? What is that one? What is that one that gets you every time? I want you to dig deep too. Don't be nice because it's only you and I are the only ones that can see this. Oh, you can pick as many as you want. You can pick as many as you want. But what's that food? What's that food item or those food items? So you can type that in there. You're gonna type that in. Dig deep, because we're gonna unpack this today. Dig deep. Gotta get out of our comfort zone. Number three. When was the first time you had that food? When was the first time you had that food? When was the first time you had that food item? Yeah. Age, like Brown, when was the first time you had it? Maybe the first time you remember having it. Maybe the first time you remember that you enjoyed it. When was that first time? Hey Janelle, glad you could make it. All right. That's my buddy Janelle there. Hey, Keto Yardy, everybody. All right, time for some football. All right, so next one. Who were you with? Who were you with? So you're thinking about that food item and think about who you were with. Well, who introduced that food item to you? Who used to make it for you? Oh, I didn't open it up on here, did I? I got too much going on, too much technology. I got to open up the next question on here. I got to make sure y'all don't cheat. So y'all go ahead on the questions and it messes with your thought process. All right, so that's the next one. I'm sorry. So y'all should see it in the Desmos now. And I want y'all to type that in there. And I'll move on to the next one. How did it comfort you? That's a tough one, especially when you think about back then. How did it comfort you? I'm gonna tell you my story in a minute. How did it comfort you? Y'all didn't know we were going to school today, did y'all? And I'll speed this up because I'll be up here all day. Next question. How does it comfort you now? Is it the same? Was the comfort different then than it is now? And then last but not least, you're just gonna submit it. Just type done and click submit. It really is nothing special to it. I just had to put that screen because people will be like, well, what happened? All right. Like I said, y'all, we're gonna dig in. So you thought of that food item. And this was powerful when I did it for myself. And this is why I share this. Because 9 times out of 10, that food item is associated to a loved one. And 9.5 times out of 10, that loved one isn't here anymore. And you are associating that love from that individual to connecting with that food item. I figured that out myself because I would always eat coconut cake every time I saw it. And what I realized is that I was first introduced to this coconut cake by my grandmother because she used to make them. And I never knew, I didn't really like it that much. I really didn't like coconut cake that much. I really didn't. But every time I would go into a store and I saw coconut cake, I would have to buy one. You know how they sell them slices by themselves? I would have to have one. And I did this activity and I said, my God, that's because I'm basically paying homage to my grandmother every time I see this coconut cake. So now you gotta figure out, how do you replace that emotion? So now what I do when I see that coconut cake, I just smile. Because that's my grandmother. So you have to learn how to take that emotion and change it, shift it. You don't need that food item to bring that love back. Take a moment, step back and say, that's my loved one. And maybe I'm just speaking to am I just speaking to myself? I don't know. Maybe I'm just sharing my story. But when we get to unpacking it, then we figure out what the problem is. The problem is that we're eating emotionally. Hopefully, some of you found out exactly like, okay, this is where that emotion is coming from. That emotion is coming from a loved one. Or it's just coming from a happy time in your life. Maybe it was just a time in your life where you were happy, where there was just happiness, there was just joy. And this food item was there. Because we already said in the beginning that most of these food items are attached to family. Most of our dietary choices that are poor are attached to family, are attached to our culture, our history, our heritage. It's all attached in one way or another. So first thing we got to do is identify the emotion. What is the emotion that's that item? Is it worry? Is it fear? Is it anger? Is it? For me, it was just on sight. I just saw it, I'd add it. But sometimes that worry may drive you to a certain food item. That fear may drive you to a certain food. That anger may drive you to go to a certain food item. That sadness or overwhelmed. Some of us feel overwhelmed, especially when the pandemic ended, and then the next thing you know, the world opens up, and it's like, oh, I got to drive to work. I have to put on pants. So you got to name it. There goes worry. Oh, there goes anger. Identify it. Call it out. And what was the problem that made that food the solution? You have to be able to pinpoint it, identify it. What is that? What was the problem that actually made that food the solution? Identify where you hold the emotion, because then you can identify it. I hold my emotion, some of my emotion I hold in my jaws. How many of you had tight jaw, like you start to clench your jaws up when you start to feel a certain emotion? So now you start to tap into that emotion and say, okay, what is this emotion that I'm feeling when my jaws get to tight, when I get to tighten my jaws up? My wife does that, and I think she might be ready to hit me. You feel it in your stomach. That's worry for me. I get that uneasy feeling in my stomach, and I'm like worried about something, and I have to try to identify what is it that's bothering me. So you hold those different emotions in different places in your body. What about the clenched fist? I see that in younger people. I'm a teacher. I see that in kids a lot. As soon as they get upset, they clench their fist up. Some adults may still do that. Identify where that is coming from. Where are you holding this stress? Stomach, jaws, clenched fist, tap into that zone. So here's our solution. Identify the emotion. Be intentional, Dr. Miller, about identifying and catching the emotion, which is basically what I already said. You got to be able to be intentional about finding it and figuring out exactly what is this emotion that's taking me over. Because you can identify the emotion, you can stop yourself in your tracks. Identify triggers, TV, movies. How many times you go to the movies? What do we do when we go to the movies? What do we eat at the movies? Everybody knows, right? You go to the movies, you're triggered to eat popcorn because it's a social norm. What time is lunch? It's a social norm. We all eat lunch at 12 o'clock. We eat popcorn when we go to the movies. Identify triggers. Certain people are triggers. You got that friend you go hang out with, you don't get that drink. Y'all know y'all gonna eat a certain food or eat it at a certain place. So you gotta identify the triggers. Family and friends. Events. Certain events can be triggers. For me, it's a basketball game. Because every time I go to a basketball game, I want a hot dog and potato chips. And I used to do that all the time. That was my thing. So now I identify that and I make sure that I'm prepared. Special places, places you may used to go with a loved one. Places you go on anniversaries or birthdays. Those special places can be those triggers. Here go the solutions to those problems is meal planning, meal prepping, and tracking and preparing those snacks will help you. Especially in a situation like mine when I would just walk into a store and they'd have the coconut cake. So what I notice when I work with people, that these are the things that make people have the best success. Meal planning, prepping, because planning is a little bit different. You can plan it out, but you might not prep it. Like I tell people all the time, I get dressed in my mind. Like I can go in the closet in my mind and I know what I'm gonna wear tomorrow. I didn't iron it, didn't put it out or nothing like that, but I went in there and I looked at it. So meal prepping and then tracking, knowing your numbers. How many calories are you taking in? What are your macros? Whatever you're following. Prepare a snack, y'all. Prepare the nuts, prepare the seeds, break open in case of emergency. You walk into somewhere, you see something that you want that you know you really don't want to eat. Go ahead and get your macadamia nuts. Get your 20s, as I call it, get in your 20s. Because having that snack will help you. Having some type of protein bar. When I say protein bar, I mean like an epic bar. So like an epic bar in your pocket. Don't get so hungry that it's all bets off. That's me. If I get that hungry, it's all bets off. Keep keto. I'm hungry. So don't get so hungry that all bets are off. The one thing that I really want everyone to understand that we eat our way to better health. In the dietary space, we're taught stop eating. That's what we're taught. Stop eating. I was an overweight teenager. Go to the store with my friends. We all come back with chips and candy. But whose bag gets investigated? Mine. Stop eating. Hey, eating? Why can't I eat? And that's the mindset that we go into sometimes when we get in the ketogenic lifestyle and we start to lower our calories, lower our food intake. And the next thing you know, our body's in survival mode and our body don't care nothing about losing weight. Our body trying to survive off these 800 calories you eat. And it's having a hard time. So you might lose a couple pounds in the beginning, but then you're going to rebound or you're going to just stop. So eat your way to better health. Get your numbers. If you got a coach, get your numbers together, and you want to make sure that you're getting that food intake in. Don't use intermittent fasting as a way to say, as a way to not eat. Let's just say that. It's a way for you to eat inside of a window so that your blood sugar isn't up all day. When I leave this stage, I'm going to feast. And that's what y'all have to do. You're either fasting or you're feasting. Fasting or you're feasting. I'm sorry. I got off a little bit there. So break the autopilot. I had to break the autopilot of every time I saw the cake in the store that I just bought it. Because it was autopilot. You gotta break the autopilot of every time I go to the movies, I gotta have popcorn. You gotta break the autopilot of it's 12 o'clock, time to get lunch. You gotta break the autopilot of undereating, of overeating. Thanksgiving. You go back and get 3 or 4 plates. Why? Because it's Thanksgiving. So break the autopilot. I'll just start again on Monday. And then Monday becomes what? Next Monday. Then it becomes next month. Then it becomes Happy New Year. You're like, I'll start on the first of the year. So break that autopilot. And here are my final thoughts. As you know, I had many. First thing, that awareness. What is the awareness that we are emotionally eating, number one? And as I said, we all do it in a positive and in the negative. We all eat emotionally. So we have to have the awareness of it. We have to find what is causing me to do this. Is it sadness? Is it happiness? Identify that emotion and name it. There goes worry. You won't get me today, worry. There goes sadness. There goes fear. There goes overwhelm. And I'm doing my fingers because some psychologists will teach you to literally name it and give it worry and be the pinky finger. But I'm not going that deep. And how can you care for this without food? That's the key. First, you have to be able to identify it. And then you have to say, how can I care for this need without food? How can I care for the love of my grandmother without eating that cake? I take a moment and I smile and I have that moment of remembrance of her. And then I can walk away and be like, yep, she visited me today. And have a feeling of happiness, have a feeling of joy without having to eat it to get it and not even really get it anyway. because you feel bad about it. So, yeah, it's not mine. I mean, you know, this stuff floats around on the internet. I'm not that smart. Face your stuff. Don't stuff your face. We all have stuff that we gotta face. Let's face it and stop running away from it and getting in that vicious cycle. I'm stressed because I ate, and I ate because I'm stressed. I thank y'all for even listening to me, because again, I don't take any of that for granted. I don't take none of that for granted, and I thank y'all for being here and listening. I hope that if one person got something out of this, then this trip to Florida was not in vain. So where can you find me? And I didn't even introduce myself. I know. You can find me on TikTok for the most part. I am Keto Coach E on all platforms except for Clubhouse. I'm Coach E on Clubhouse. I'm Keto Coach E on all platforms. If you scan that little QR code, you can go to like my bio link page. You can see I have my book on Amazon.